2 Brewers Release 21 Yukon Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, and Yukon Brewing Artisan Gin. What are these like? Stay tuned for the Whisky Whistle. Greetings, my whiskey people. Mark here from Whisky Whistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from Winnipeg, the center of North America, bringing you 2 Brewers Release 21. Right here, I'll put an image right there, and also the Artisan Gin from Yukon Brewing. And it's just by luck that I get to try this gin. This was actually meant for Blair Phillips. They sent me the sample that they normally do. Thanks again very much, Heather from 2 Brewers and from Yukon Brewing. And then by accident, they labeled to Blair Phillips with my address. So this came together, and I asked them what to do about that. This was after I got out of quarantine back in early August. And they said, we already sent him replacements. So Mark, you keep those and do what you want with those. So fantastic. I am going to do it right, that's for sure. So super excited about this. Now, a few quick shout outs before I get started. First of all, a big thank you to Don Mon. That's his YouTube handle for these 2 great secret malt samples. So he's given me a game to play. So I will play the game one day very soon. Super excited about this. Sample 1, unfold the mystery after sampling. Sample 2, unfold the mystery after sampling. So super excited about that. Thanks again, Don. Really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to Whisky Whistle crew member on Patreon, Graham Young. Thank you so much, Graham, for this massive box of goodies. There are so many cool things in here that I can't start to tell you everything. So again, thanks a lot, Graham. Really appreciate that. Your package will be on its way very soon. And if you want to get involved, jump in and join me on Patreon and join the Whisky Whistle crew. Patreon.com/Whisky Whistle. All right, check it out. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start with the gin, the Artisan Gin. Now, I've been smelling this, and it smells fantastic. This is 42%, by the way, and they sent me a fantastic glossy photo of these. So really awesome, beautiful stuff. So 42, I'm sorry, what is it now? Yeah, exactly 42% volume. And it is, of course, juniper based, but also it's got some citrus top notes from orange and lemon, they say. Smells beautiful. Now, I want to try a little bit by itself first. It smells a little bit salty. Now, what I love about this is that the 2 Brewers Distillery signature really suits gin well, because it adds a little bit of an earthiness, a little bit of umami in there that's fantastic. Beautiful, strong, heady notes. We've got a little bit of something, I kid you not, a little bit of something kind of like the flavors you get in vermouth, interestingly. And that classic juniper, deliciously clean and beautiful. All right, now I've got a cocktail. This is going to be a Cherry Gin Rickey. And I'm using Luxardo. See that, Stefan? Luxardo cherries, maraschino cherries. These are the ones you should get if you're going to use them for cocktails. The bright red ones, maybe you should use those for, I don't know, cream cheese, cherry rolls for weddings and funerals. All right, anyway, so Luxardo, maraschino cherries. I put a bit of juice in there and some lime juice and ice. And then we're going to add a good amount like that. Oof, that's going to be very nice, a very nice amount of gin. And to that we add our club soda. That's the sound we like. And lastly, the garnish. And to that we add the lime and cherries. And there we have it, a beautiful Cherry Gin Rickey. Excellent. I think I want to get those in there. There, look at that. Now, you can use less of the syrup in there to make a less sweet drink, which is what I like. Or you can add more to make it sweeter. Now, if you think about gin and tonic, the tonic is actually pretty sweet. So if you like that, probably you want to add a little bit more. All right, cheers. And a big cheers to everybody at Yukon Brewing and 2 Brewers. Cheers. Oh, delicious. Maybe needs a little bit more cherry in there. I think I want to eat one of those. If I can stab it. Delicious. You should try that. The cherry syrup, some lime juice, your gin, about 2 ounces, and then top it up with club soda, garnish with cherries and lime. Very delicious. All right, let's get on to the whiskey review. And I better have a bit of coffee first. To cleanse that palate. And water to wash the coffee down. All right, we're on a time clock here. Now I'm going to finish off this one. And this is 46% ABV. Again, it's release 21. And I think we're going to need more of that. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. There we go. A little more. There. Excuse me. All right. Okay, so what is release 21? 46% ABV, as I said. And all right, so there is the poster for release 21. Beautiful looking bottle, 46% ABV, as I said. Some interesting tasting notes. I'm going to avoid looking at those. But here's some information about release 21. This is a combination of 6, 7, and 8-year-old malts. About 85% of the whiskey is a mash of our standard pale malt, supplemented with a variety of specialty malt mashes. So pale malt, perhaps some chocolate malt, perhaps some other specialty malts in there. The intent was to create some aggressive and complex character, but with an adequate backbone of standard mash to support it through the palate. The majority of the whiskey did its aging in virgin oak. The last 6 months was spent mingling in older barrels before bottling. So first of all, let's have a look at the color of Two Brewers Release 21. Now that's a beautiful, nice, rich golden hue. Beyond 24 karat gold. Maybe it's even got a little bit of copper in there, hasn't it? Very, very nice. Beautiful color. All right, let's check the legs out. And by the way, as I try to always say, this is unchill filtered and it's natural in color. They now put it on the label, so that's awesome. Okay, here we go. The legs for Release 21 from Two Brewers. Very slow first legs. They're at the midway point, and they're nearing the bottom now, with the secondary legs not far behind. And that is a superb leg show that tells me that we'll have something nice and chewy, nice and rich in mouthfeel. Let's see if I'm correct. Let's get on to the nosing for Release 21. We have something kind of like stewed orange. Some rich sponge toffee, kind of like the inside of a crunchy bar if you live in Canada. Some big vanilla undertones here. It's really making me salivate. We have some very ripe pear. And we have tinned peaches, along with something more tropical. Like mango jelly, the little Asian mango jelly you can get from the superstore. And this is not peated whatsoever. There's not even a hint of peat here. And again, what I'm noticing with Two Brewers is that as the average age of whiskey in the glass goes up, we see a little bit of a shift in flavor from something more umami, more savory, to something a little bit sweeter and richer and spicier. For spice, maybe a little bit of ginger snap involved in this nose. Okay, on to the palate. Cheers, folks, and a big cheers to everybody in the Yukon. Cheers. Very mouth coating, very rich as I thought. Really coats the mouth nicely. And it's a real fruit and spice bomb. It's both fruity and spicy. And 46% ABV, actually, it sips more like 48 or 49. Similar to the nose, we have the stewed orange. We've got the mango that's working in there. More ginger snaps on the palate. And as I'm tasting this now, the finish also has some of that umami component still remaining, which I think is lovely and really, again, harks back to the beginnings of their whiskey journey at Yukon Brewing. It's buttery. It's got that ginger snappiness to it. In the finish, you get a little bit of, again, nice warm baking spices like ginger. little bit of nutmeg coming through here, which is nice. More than nutmeg, more like mace, like the shell of the nutmeg. We still have that sponge toffee, lots of vanilla, and delicious from the nose to the palate to the finish. Delicious stuff here. And there is kind of like a toasted malty note that I get in the finish, which tells me that there might have been something like a more darkly toasted malt in there. They wouldn't say which, and that's fine. They got to keep some secrets. And I added just a little bit of water, about maybe 2 milliliters of water. Maybe less, maybe 1.5. Not much change on the nose. And when I'm smelling this actually reminds me a lot of Glenlivet 15-year-old French oak. Now, I don't think there's French oak in here. There might be. They just said virgin oak. They didn't mention whether that was American. But they also mentioned marrying in older casks, which might have been French oak. Especially that I'm getting this nutmeggy component. I could smell this all day long. Okay, on to the nose now with water. A little bit more of the sponge toffee. A little bit more of that stewed orange. And a little bit more of the mango. So everything's pretty much ramped up here on the nose with water added. The palate. You get more of a spice edge. Let's remember, adding water to whiskey is what they call releasing the serpent. So you get a little bit more spice, more ginger snaps, more of a well-toasted, well-browned, well-burnt sugar note. Not burnt, but browned. And even more of that toasted malty-esque note on the finish. Really enjoyable. And it's very complex in a way that it's actually pretty hard to unravel. There's something somewhat similar to Glenmorangie Signet, as well as to that Glenlivet 15-year-old French oak that I mentioned. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were a little bit of chocolate malt added, as well as a little bit of perhaps a little bit of French oak in there. Beautiful. Well, it's that time then. Let's get on to the Whiskey Whistle Whiskey Score for Two Brewers Release 21. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 90 out of 100. You heard it. 90 out of 100 is the Whiskey Whistle Whiskey Score for Two Brewers Release 21. Great stuff. Deserves a malt hug. A little malt kiss, even though it's a tiny little sample. Great. Wonderful stuff. Highly recommend this. The price is good. It's got the right ABV. It's unchill filtered. It's natural in color. It's Canadian. And we should celebrate that. But not only because it's Canadian, but because it is so good. And when I think that I've followed them since release number 3, incredible. I can't wait for what's next. I really feel like two brewers, as well as Shelter Point. Now, these are already whiskeys that I've mentioned that I have awarded with Whisky Whistle Whiskey of the Year awards. And also the original North American single malt maker, Glenora Distillery, Glen Breton on the east coast of Canada, in Nova Scotia, New Scotland. These are my 3 favorites. Now, there are a few more coming up. I will be right here ready to support and review those products as they come of age. All right, well, hope you enjoyed that. Maybe I'll better take a final sip of this guy. Very delicious. Well, take care, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the link right over here and hit the bell, ding ding. That way you'll be notified of the future Whiskey Whistles. And jump in and support me on Patreon. As I mentioned, patreon.com/WhiskyWhistle. Join the Whisky Whistle crew. And if you're in Winnipeg, you better check out the Winnipeg Whiskey Club, all right? That's right over there. Take care, folks. Goodbye now.